Welcome to Dispatches, a production of the VVA Veteran magazine and Vietnam Veterans of America, hosted by arts editor Marc Leepson. Let's begin.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 48 of Dispatches, a production of the VVA Veteran magazine, coming to you live and on tape, as always, from Vietnam Veterans of America's national headquarters, right here in downtown Silver Spring, Maryland. Our special guest today is Paul Sanchez, an actor, director, and screenwriter who's appeared in tons of TV shows and movies. To name a few: Born on the 4th of July, Castaway, People Like Us, Navy SEALs, and the big movie we're going to talk a lot about today, Platoon, where he played Doc, the medic. We're also going to talk about Platoon Brothers in Arms, the unauthorized documentary that Paul wrote, directed, co-produced, and appeared in, came out in 2018. Narrated by Charlie Sheen, the star of Platoon, Brothers in Arms tells the story of the making of Oliver Stone's Academy Award-winning 1986 Vietnam War film through the eyes of a group of the actors who took part in it. That included Sheen, Sanchez, Johnny Depp, Tom Berenger, Willem Dafoe, John C. McGinley, Kevin Dillon, and Keith David. It's a terrific movie, especially for Vietnam War veterans and anyone else who's a fan of the movie Platoon. And it's streaming these days on Apple TV and Amazon Prime. Paul, I'm happy to report, will receive the VVA President's Award for Excellence in the Arts at the National Leadership Conference in August. He comes to us today from Hollywood land. Paul, great to finally meet you in person over the airwaves, and welcome to Dispatches.
Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate it.
Terrific. Well, listen, let's jump right in. Like I said, we're going to concentrate on Platoon. I mean, I just feel so happy to have somebody who was there and can give us the inside baseball, and to see your movie, which I told you I thought was great, the documentary. It really man. Anyway, so let's just start. Let's start at the beginning. Can you just briefly fill us in on your background? Where were you from? Where'd you grow up? That kind of thing.
So I was born and raised in Los Angeles, grew up in Whittier, California. Went to, after I graduated high school, went to University of Hawaii. Played sports, got an injury, and thought, what do I want to do with my life? So I thought, you know what? You can always get a job. I want to try to be an actor. This came out of nowhere, do nothing but watch TV and movies, right? And you know who sparked that in me?
Who?
Lucille Ball, of all people. She looked like so effortless. She's so good. It was brilliant to watch. I thought, I can do that. Well, that was her genius. It was that great and that compelling. So after college, I came back to LA. I studied with Stella Adler. She offered me a scholarship to her conservatory in New York City. I went there for 4 years, did theater, did some commercials. And that's where I met Oliver. And that really started this ride.
So tell me, Platoon was your first role? Is that correct?
Very first feature film, absolutely.
Did you audition, or how was the audition? Was Oliver there?
So at first, I got an audition, and the script is just incredible. It was the best written script I had ever read. And so I went in, and I first met with, I think it was Marion Doherty, a casting director, and she was really nice and said, come back and meet the director. And I met Oliver at, it was the Gulf Western Building in New York City. And Dino De Laurentiis, famous from King Kong, the newer one back in the 80s with Jessica Lange, and very over, big budget films. And he was going to do Platoon, but I met Oliver, auditioned for him originally for Willem's part, Sergeant Elias, because he's written as a Native American. But Oliver liked me, and it needed someone with a little more gravitas, someone more experienced. But anyway, he said, "Well, I'd like you to play Doc," and I was very happy. And then we lost funding, which happens a lot. And it's nothing about the merit of the productions. Sometimes it's just that, people lose millions investing in films. So a couple of years later, I got I'm working, as actors do in my second job, which was a doorman at a bar. And of course, studying with Stella and, running around New York City. And I got a call that the son of the actor who played Ben Casey was also a waiter in this restaurant. And he goes, "Hey, Paul, I just got this list of people. It's called the breakdown service for casting. Lets agents know who they're looking for and that kind of stuff." He goes, "Your name's on a list with like 8 other people. John C. McGinley, a couple other people from New York City. He was looking for to get back into his office." And I was just thrilled. I was like, that, because that was the big one that got away. Big one, not money, not anything, except I felt this almost an obligation, this need. Growing up, I'm this kid eating his TV dinners in front of the TV at 6 o'clock when, the evening news is scrolling the names. And you see, the pitched battles where, the jungle's in flames and these poor GIs are, wrapped in bandages, getting airlifted out. And to see that as a kid, you're just like, it's just a bit too much. And when I read Oliver's incredible script, I just thought, I have to be involved in this. I'll do whatever it takes. And then I got the call that it's back on. I went in there and Oliver's a little bit of a unique person. He's like, just come on in and we'll chat. I'm like, come on in. He goes, "Do a monologue for me." I'm like, a monologue? A monologue is like a 2-3 minute thing that you really have to study and, do. And I go, you just call me in to say, you wanted to chat, make sure my teeth hadn't fallen out or I gained 80 pounds or something. I worked this thing, it's called From All My Sons, this monologue, Arthur Miller play about World War II and about a father who put faulty parts in airplanes and it killed a lot of GIs. And I updated it to Vietnam.
Whoa.
And I just kind of on the fly. And Oliver just kind of, after I ended, he just went, "Oh, powerful." And I'm like, "What? What did you say?" "What?" You got nothing. "All right, I'll see you in the Philippines." That was it. That was it. And it's 40 years later. I'm telling you, the reason I made Brothers in Arms, the documentary about the making of Platoon, is because this type of situation, the incredible story, the histrionics of the Vietnam War, told, in my humble opinion, not very well before us. And I know that sounds so incredibly egotistical, but I certainly don't mean because of me or the other actors. I mean because of Oliver. And I mean because of Dai Wee, Captain Dale Dai, the military advisor, and his crew. They we had a 3-week boot camp, and believe me, I'm not saying, nor are any of the actors saying, that we know what Vietnam vets went through. We don't. It just gave us a little bit of a taste. So our imagination, being professional actors, could put ourselves in that place with our developed imagination and try to do our best to honor Vietnam veterans.
What I want to say is it comes through really clearly in the doc, not just from you, but from I think every other guy who talks. So the boot camp thing. So how did they spring that? What did they do? How did they tell you? Excuse me, but we're going to take you in the jungle for 3.
It's so cool. Yeah. It was in the contract, and that we're going to have this boot camp, and any actor worth his weight will jump at something like that. You know, you get movie stars who say, "Oh, you know, I prepared, I dieted, I worked out with my trainer for 3 months." Those are movie stars. Actors get, okay, Paul, they want you to do this film, and you know, we're shooting this on a Wednesday. You're on set Friday. There's no, I better call my people and get set. No, I'm going to grow my hair and a long beard. It's you start to have the luxury of this production company paying for you to do a boot camp, get you from this New York City mid-'80s actor boy to a 1967, 68 vet in, you know, the jungles of Vietnam is such a gift to an actor. So everybody was on board 110%. Now that's the idea. So, you know, we're these guys are, you know, just John McGinley, Ivan Kane, and myself flew from New York City to LA. We met the rest of the actors, excluding Willem, who's already in the PI, and Berenger, who just flew out a couple of days before. You know, we're all kind of nervous, like, what's this going to be? Like, we're just all really want this film to do well already. And that's a little strange because actors are very narcissistic. I want to do well. It was really, this is going to be cool. The film, not my performance, you know? So it was really strange right away. And I think Oliver put that into us in the auditioning. And he didn't say, this, you know, you just knew how much he was invested in this. So we land in Manila. There's still, you know, military, the police brigade has got machine guns on the streets. There's tanks roaming around because there was a coup that just occurred. Willem was there for the coup, and we were held back because we couldn't get a plane out. No planes landed there. Willem was on the very last plane from anywhere that landed in the PI. So we got there and like, we're safe, you know, and had a meeting, and Dai Wee just comes into the room and says, okay, let's go. You know, at 0600 tomorrow, you be out front. The vans are taking us into the Triple Canopy jungle. And we're like, what now? And yeah, that was it. You know, you don't take anything. All the whatever, all the little stuff you're going to bring is unnecessary because it was like a little semi-line of get your fatigues here, get your boots here, get your pot there, your helmet. And that was it. We just started. There was no explanation of what was going on except we're going to make you into the best rifle unit we can in the 3 weeks that we have. And we're like, okay, do we have a choice? The only choice was don't get hurt. Because if you break a leg, you break an arm, you're out. You're on a flight back. They can't afford to let me mend my little shoulder, and then restart shooting. You're gone. They'll fly somebody out that next day, and we knew that. So it was nothing like we're going to hold back in boot camp. It was like, let's really get this going. That just upped the stakes. That made it so much more important. Like, this is cool. And guys are getting hurt and just sucking it up. What are you going to do this 2.5 weeks and they're going to fly you home? No way. I'm going to be in this film. So boot camp was great. Now this is 40 years later,
Right.
Everybody dropped, 12, 15, some people 20 pounds because we had the, 1 or 2 MREs a day. And we were humping 70-pound rucksacks, 25 clicks a day. And again, we're little actor boys in the Philippine jungles. And, no one's firing live weapons at us. It was just to get us, just to weather us a little bit and to get in our brain a taste of maybe what they were going through. And a professional actor, that's what we need. If I'm going to play a cowboy, I'm not, you learn to ride a horse, you learn to do those stuff, and you hope to pull it off so the audience doesn't see you lying. This was the most important thing about the film, was not wanting to make vets look bad, because that was on us. And if people all of a sudden go, this movie sucks, then we've let down Oliver, we let down Dai, and we've let down all those Vietnam vets. So that was on that felt like extra weight on the rucksack.
Yeah. So how Dale Dye is a member of Vietnam Veterans of America, and I've said this before on the show. He's been on Dispatches. And,
yeah, I saw his episode.
And I think he even put me in touch with you. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So
I checked you out by giving Dai a call. I said, hey, I just got this email from this guy, Marc, at the is this on the level? I go, yeah, it's on the level. You get back to him and you do what he says. Yes, Dai. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah,
and that was all I needed for verification.
You were back in the jungle. So just because I really just think Dale's so great, tell me what I mean. Did he get into being the tough drill sergeant and he scream at you guys and
He didn't need to.
Okay.
He has this thing, this aura of he's commanding. You can be sitting, on a bar stool and just chatting with him, and it just resonates from him. But he never has to use it. It's there. And it's really because of the history of his service and his vast experience. It's just, you get it. His dogs, he had 3 Marine advisors who were, let's see, you never retire from being a Marine, right?
That's correct.
But they were not on active duty. They were, actually one of them was, and he came out anyway. That's how he wanted to work for Dai so badly. But these guys, they were the ones who, were giving us the finger in the chest and, well, you son of a bitch, that kind of Arlie Ermy thing from Full Metal Jacket. But we knew that they had to teach us. So they just couldn't, they showed us everything. Mark Ebenhock, Rock Delotti, and Drew Clark. Drew's passed since, but they would always take the time to show us everything. Now, Captain Dai, he would bring each one of us aside and like teach us, like Mark Moses, the LT. He, map reading and the things he would need. He would tell Willem, like a 2-hour session with Willem about, his role, in the military. And he had a session with me about like all the field medic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He would always say, listen, anybody, gets shot, there's a minimal chance you can get them out unless it's not, you've got to just slap it on, go. And, but all the technical stuff, you have to, morphine, put M in blood on their foreheads, get them. And I always wanted to do more. And he's like, you don't understand. You can't. And I could not understand how you could, if someone, is dying, you can't just keep working on them. I said, you see this every day. When someone's not going to make it, and you got to get to the other men. And that I found really, really difficult, how these medics just got through, a day.
Yeah, absolutely. Firefight. Yeah. So with the time we have left, let's just talk about the doc. I think, the subtitle tells it all, Brothers in Arms. That's the main message I got out of it, that you guys, it wasn't just making, I think one of the guys said in the movie something like, you always go, 3 months, you spend with a bunch of people, you bond with them, but this was special. This was different. We're still, know each other and get together. Absolutely. 40 years ahead. Yeah. Tell us about that. How did it I know it comes from the boot camp, but it was more than that. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't tell you if it was that common effort of wanting this film to be, not to do well. It wasn't anything about business. It was about wanting to do our roles at the best we possibly could, each one of us, and working together. Again, actors are very narcissistic. You want to shine in every scene. It wasn't like that on this film. You're standing by. If they need you to walk behind in the background of somebody's shot, fine. Whatever you want me to do. And you can look in the background of Platoon, and whatever's being done in the background, the sides, is authentic. It's nobody just sitting around like, doing something that would be inappropriate for the time and for, what they had. There's nobody with a cell phone. There's nobody with a watch. It was meticulous in what the authenticity that Oliver did for that film. But back to your question, everybody felt it to a man. And I can't tell you why, but I can just say if I run into any of these guys, it doesn't matter where you are. You can be at a formal event. You can be with your family. They're with their family. You just step aside for a second and you just give them a hug. And it's like, man, it's like that. You're right back there. And with responsibilities of family and work and everything, it seems like it gets lost, your relationships with other guys and friends. It comes right back. And I think about them all the time. And what Brothers in Arms, The Making of Platoon, my documentary, was really about was to thank them for this experience and to let them know that I wanted to make that film for them. We made Platoon for the Vietnam veterans, and I made Brothers in Arms for the cast and the crew that made that film, to let them know how special they are to me and what a life-changing experience that was, and how much fun and how much I love every one of them.
Yeah. Well, it shines through in the movie, and and man, it was 40 years ago. Can you believe it?
My God, how do we still look so young?
Yeah.
Everybody else is aging poorly.
Well, I think I mentioned to you in some email. I watched it again last night, just because I don't know, I started and then I couldn't stop. So, but it conveys everything you were just saying really beautifully, and I strongly recommend the film to anybody who's interested in the Vietnam War, who's interested in the movie Platoon and why it was so special, and why the first movie that Paul Sanchez was in won 4 Academy Awards.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
The lucky charm, I must be. Now, it was also fun. If it's anybody that loves filmmaking or behind the scenes or likes to see actors, just kind of in a comfortable setting, or wants to know more about the Vietnam War. It's just like that's what our goal was, and it was fun. It was really fun to make. There was no going to work during the making of that documentary. It was all great. I get to see the guys again. We're gonna have so much fun. This is cool, So, thank you. I really do appreciate you bringing my doc up.
Absolutely. Paul, it's great talking to you. Thank you very much for doing this episode of Dispatches, and I will see you in Jacksonville in August.
Will do. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I hope people get a chance to see it. It's as I think John Glover said in the film, his grandmother said, "Platoon, I never want to see another movie like that again." It's a tough watch, but it's worth it.
Absolutely. Thanks, man.
All right, you take care.
Bye.
Thank you, Marc.
You bet. Thanks for watching, everyone, and thanks to the Dispatches team here at Vietnam Veterans of America's National Headquarters. Quentin Butcher, Alfie Williams, the indispensable Daniel Devora, Sean Venables, and myself. Dispatches was created by Michael Keating, and stay tuned soon for the next episode of Dispatches, a production of the VVA Veteran magazine.
Just what do you think you're doing?
Cracking nuts.